presidential candidate of the NNPP, Robbie Musu Kwankwaso, was at the Chatham House yesterday, speaking about his plans for Nigeria should he be elected the next president. My colleague Juliana Olayinka had an exclusive with him on some other issues that wasn't discussed at the Chatham House, which might interest you on this program. I'll bring you that soundbite at some point on the program, so stick around with me, everyone. Now, our first conversation tonight on the program is going to be with Governor of Anambra State and the former CBN Governor, Professor Charles Soludo. He was elected a few days ago as the national leader of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. And that in itself comes with a huge responsibility for a party that controls just one state in the 36 states of the Federation. And he hopes to do more in covering the ground. And how can Soludo lead the party into 2023 in a heavily saturated electoral and political period? Governor Charles Soludo is live with me tonight from Awka, Anambra State Capital. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight, and it's good to see you again. The last time you were on the program, it didn't take too long before some of your critics came for you. Let's hope that you may not have as much trouble compared to the other time. So let's get started, and I'll begin with your election as a national leader of the party. Let me ask you, what then becomes of your predecessor, Governor, the former governor of Anambra State? He was a national leader, but now where does that leave him?
Thank you very much, Shem. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for hearing me. The All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, it's my political party. It's Nigeria's third largest political party as at this moment. You said it controls one state, yes, one state governor, as members of the, someone in the Senate, as members of the House of Representatives. It's got several members in the Houses of Assembly in several states of the Federation. It's got fielded candidates all across the country. APGA is a party, is the home and the future of all progressives in Nigeria. We are running for the long term. For us, it's not a 100-meter dash. So 2023 election, we are focused on that, and we will be very competitive across the board, across the entire length and breadth of the country. But we have our eye on the long term, the future of this country. Because being the very first political party registered with the word progressives in its name, being the very first political party in Nigeria, I would dare to say I don't know any other one that in its constitution committed to having true federalism in Nigeria, and therefore recognizing that a restructured Nigeria is a sustainable pathway to Nigeria's future. It is by its name, the Grand Alliance of all progressives. We believe, like I said, it is the home of all progressives, and we're looking forward, not just for this election, but even after the election and going forward, for a constellation of forces, progressives in Nigeria, coming together under this platform, to begin to chart a new pathway for Nigeria. Now you asked the question about, and by the way, last Saturday, you may have seen clips of the rally that we had at Awka here to kick off our national campaign. And that is, many commentators have dubbed it to be the largest political rally, at least in the Southeast. Maybe the only one comparable to it, probably Kano or thereabout. But quite a humongous one, just to make, we made a very bold statement in our national rally last Saturday. And now to your specific question about what becomes of my predecessor in office. Yes, he happened to have been the second national leader of the party after Dean Chukwuemeka Megwojoko, late Megwojoko as the first leader. He was a second. And now I have been appointed as the third in that order. Well, our party, we build a home. We enlarge the coast. We want everybody to be there. He remains the chairman of the board of trustees of the party. And he was there at the grand rally that we had, this unprecedented rally in the history here for any party in the Southeast, I want to re-emphasize. He was there on Saturday himself, and he spoke in his capacity as the chairman of the board of trustees of the party. So the house is together, and we're moving as a formidable house that will only grow with time massively, because it is the party of the future for Nigeria.
So let's go into the chances of ABGA, because ABGA is on the ballot for the presidential election. And in fact, if you hear some of the criticisms coming from Anambra State, for those who are saying there is a witch hunt against the Labour Party, at some quarters, Chief Victor Ume of the Labour Party has criticized your government and ABGA in Anambra State of witch hunt and attacks on campaign billboards and not allowing for a free atmosphere for them to campaign. They said, in fact, in Anambra State, ABGA cannot even win the presidential election. How far can your party go in this presidential election, considering the fact that the son of the soil, Peter Obi, is from Anambra State and is getting the kind of attention that he's gotten? You've laid out your permutation as to how you think the presidential election will go, which you said may not go in the favor of Peter Obi.
Thank you very much. I think you've put up three things in one. But with the very first part of it, it's not even worth my time commenting on about, the rantings of some people about their billboards or no billboards and so on and so forth. I don't want to be drawn into that. I think that has been exhaustively dealt with by the government and by the Anambra State signage agency and so on. That regulates this. The question the point that was repeating is that the advertisers of Nigeria, the signage agencies, have actually dubbed Anambra and commended me for being the most tolerant government with regards to electoral, free and fair electoral practice. It's on record, and everybody knows that I have for 2 times granted the presidential candidate of the Labour Party to use government property, government house for his campaign without charging him a penny. Nobody has done that. He didn't do that when he was governor. He didn't even allow Labour Party, where he is now, to freely campaign in Anambra. He denied them even the venue that they paid for. But I have allowed him to use government house twice free of charge. They were at Onitsha the other day and had their campaigns. They have their billboards all over the place. But the point is, when you fail to play by the rule, you put up billboards and you don't pay the relevant things, of course, the signage agency will come after you. Even yesterday or so, I had a complaint. They pulled down even the board of one APGA candidate for a federal house. They pulled it as though he hadn't paid his own, and they pulled it down. This is a state for rule of law. And for anybody else conjuring anything, you might have to ask the question. Even when they say their billboard is pulled down, you go all over the state, the billboards are lining up everywhere where they have met the terms and conditions for that. They want some kind of entitlement thing. We can't continue to give them everything for free. When every other candidate, nobody from PDP is not complaining, APC is not complaining, other parties are not complaining. Nobody else. Why only them? When we have granted them free, the presidential candidate free, twice, not once, twice. So indeed, the second time he had it, I had to cancel a pre-scheduled event, a meeting that I was supposed to have at that same venue, government premise. I had to relocate them to come, and I used canopies to have that meeting at the governor's lodge so that he could have the whole space to himself. That's how tolerant we are. That's who we are. And that's what APGA is all about. I mean, I might have a whole lot of faults, but being petty is not one of them. So I don't want to get into those kind of.
So, I mean, let's go. I was asking about the chances of APGA, but the question here is that you made a very, very, very long analysis and permutation about the 2023 election. That was when the election was still some 70 or 80 days away, but it's 36 days away now. Have you changed your mind, or your position still remains?
Sure. Let's be clear. APGA is contesting this election, and APGA has got presidential candidate. You started your program by introducing me as the new national leader of APGA. I have a responsibility to campaign for my party all the way from head to bottom. And so we are contesting, and contesting very seriously about the permutations, the chances, and so on and so forth of each candidate. I think the electorate will decide that in the coming days. I think barely 5 weeks to go. But we are on the ballot, and as a political party that believes fervently in, we are social democrats, we're progressives, and we believe that our own manifesto presents Nigeria with the best alternative for its future. We will go out there and campaign vigorously about that. The outcome, like I said, will be, the test of the pudding will be in the eating. In the next 5 weeks, it will be out there. I don't want you, and I will resist you trying to draw me again. You know, the last time we were here, you started off, brought up P2B, and I told you why you were bringing that up. And then you kept on pushing until you finally got the response you were looking for. Today, I will assure you, no matter how you want to draw that 1,000 times over, you won't draw me into that conversation.
You know, Prof, you are my very good friend. You are my very good friend. And
we are.
This is between Charles and Sheil. Don't let anybody come in between us right now.
Yes, yes.
So the conversation is a friend to a friend. So let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
And the fact is,
it's a friend to a friend, but others are listening. That's the important thing.
Yes, but they may say what they want to say, but the question is, tonight, you analyzed the election and you thought that the election could go in a certain way. And that's the question I asked. If you still think that the 2023 election is off the hands of the Labour Party, you thought at that time in that piece that you wrote that election is between Bola Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar. That's your analysis.
Well, I think you are naming those yourself, Shane. I don't think that in the election, in my piece, I said I named who it was between this or between that, and that I mentioned that I didn't see the pathway for a Labour victory. That's my prognosis there. And all I can say to you today is that, and I will repeat it, and I said so in the same piece, that I wish Peter Obi the best of luck and let him go and compete as others. We are also competing on the same race with him. We have our own candidate who is also son of the soil, coincidentally from Anambra State as well. And he will do his own bit, get his own votes. Even the same piece itself, I even considered, you didn't point that out, that Peter Obi might win in Anambra State. I did mention that in that same piece. About winning the overall election itself, quite frankly, my prognosis of the entire election itself as to what was and what it is and so on and so forth, by that piece, if you just want one sentence to summarize it so you can go to the next, we can get on to other things, is that piece, as I wrote, I didn't just write it for today, I wrote it for history.
Interesting. So one of the things that came out from those who deduced one or two things, and I was following the comments here and there for those who made some rebuttals to what you wrote. the underlining major comment that people have made, which I took out, is that the claim that you have a presidential ambition, now that you are able to speak publicly after that time again, is it true that you have that kind of, and it's not illegal for you to do so, and so it's by rights, you're a citizen of the country, and you have worked hard enough to get yourself the kind of profile that you have today. So there's nothing wrong about it, but is it true that you have such an ambition in the future?
Shane, I've just been elected governor of Anambra State, and I have just been in office for a few months. I am here to serve the people of Anambra. I started my life, my career at the global level. I served and traveled to 45 countries, lived in several countries of the world, finally returned to Nigeria and served at the federal level, at the highest possible level, as it were. And now coming home to my own state to serve my people. Part of my own homecoming to give back to my own community what it is that I have to offer. That is what the people have asked me to come and do. And that is what I am spending 24/7 of my time focusing on. You see, there is this penchant in this country. When you lose an argument, you change the topic. I wrote a piece rather than anybody responding to it, point by point or whatever. You start probing motive. Why would he write it? Not whether what he wrote is right or wrong, or whether his trajectory and even my proposals make sense or don't, but about what might be the motive. Maybe he is, maybe he is not. I don't get into those kind of distractions, because it's a road to nowhere. The important thing is that here we are today. My party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, is featuring in this election, and we are competing to win as a political party. This is a contest, a partisan contest among political parties. My party will be, and this logo will be on the ballot. Other parties, their logo, there is no person whose name or face will be on the ballot. It will be political parties. So this will be a partisan contest in which my party will be on the ballot. And I have the right, I would say, to campaign as vigorously as I can for my political party, as the case may be. And that is what I am doing. And that's what I will do for the remainder of the days until the election comes and goes. It's only a few days to come. And by the way, this same political party of ours, focusing on the agenda, what we are elected to do here, to provide security, law and order, wealth creation and infrastructure, getting on a social agenda that leaves no one behind, fixing how government works, and addressing the environment. You may also recall, and let's not even depart from that, that our major focus now is delivering on all these 5 planks, especially the issue of security. Security not just of Anambra, but of even the entire Southeast. And that's why, as you noted during the rally, we made a very passionate call to the federal government to help us secure the Southeast on a more fundamental, sustainable path by calling for the immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from prison. He has to be part of that conversation. This must be the kind of conversation that we should be having now.
All right.
Not about who has,
you're leading me,
who might have ambition or not.
Yeah. So you're leading me to my next question. You all just nearly teased my next question, but I promise that I'm not going to push in this conversation at all on any matter. I'd like you to freely speak on what comes to your mind, but just in 10 seconds, we will keep this tape and it will be golden. If you can tell me, could there be a possibility of a President Charles Soludo one day? Could that ever be a possibility?
Shane, could there be?
This is the second time being governor.
No. You asked the question now. Listen.
Just
now
maybe President Charles Soludo.
Wait. You get an answer. the possibility of that is in the hand of God. The possibility, we don't even know who will be alive tomorrow. We don't even know who is going to be anything. Whatever anybody could be, what I am today, I didn't plan for it. I didn't get onto it. I was, if you know the history as to how I got here, it's in the hand of God. God knows who will be alive tomorrow, who will become, who will not be. And that's why it's a little bit funny when people start sitting down to do all these computations in the history of man. There is what is called the G factor. That is the God factor.
All right. So let me go straight to the next question. You made a public request for the release of Anambra Kanu, and there was a response from the Attorney General in an interview to an online newspaper, where he said there hasn't been any official request made from you for the release of Anambra Kanu. You said publicly that you are ready to be a surety for Anambra Kanu. Now, are you willing to make that official and official request for the release of Anambra Kanu, or have you done so?
He will receive that letter in a few days' time. And I'm very serious about this, and because it's not just something personal. It's not Chukuma, Charles Soludo. It's not about me or governance. It's about the life, security, and prosperity of the entire Southeast. See, we need to be serious and get into this conversation. We want this election to go peacefully in the Southeast. We want everybody to participate. We want peace and security to return. We want long-term transformation of this place for us to become very secured and prosperous component of Nigeria. But you need all the stakeholders around the table. Now, I thank the president for his assistance to the security agencies with what they call the kinetic approach. You know, the force, the shooting, the military, all the armed forces and the security forces. And they have been doing a great job in helping us. But we need to bring this thing to a sustainable conclusion. We need to discuss this security in a way and manner that brings, you can see the end. We don't want, you can't continue to, shooting is one way of solving it. The non-kinetic approach is what would also complement this. And we want this thing to be fast-tracked in a manner to bring it to a close. For example, in Anambra here, we're doing all kinds of things with the youths, employing youths and getting them engaged, training thousands of youths, and to be dispensing resources to them very quickly. Part of this non-kinetic approach, we've instituted a commission of inquiry to be able to unravel the remote and the immediate causes of the insecurity and the agitations in the Southeast. But these are not enough. There is someone who is critical in this conversation. We need him around the table for us to, because we also believe, since it's, coming from this part of the country, the things we hear about their agitations tell us that they're also concerned about the prosperity of the Southeast. But we can't have sustainable prosperity if we don't have sustainable security. And to have that sustainable security, we need the critical forces around the table. And that's why I will continue to push on this. And I want to believe that other leaders on the Southeast and all men of good and women of good conscience and goodwill in Nigeria will join in this call because we want the Southeast to be part of this election and to prosper. That we need Anambra Kanu. And I said, my request is twofold. Either grant him unconditional release as per the court judgment, or if that is becoming and there are other circumstances or reasons why he is being held, then grant him administrative bail. And I am prepared to provide as surety. I don't even mind. I'll keep him here. To host him here at the governor's, the government house or governor's lodge, and so on, and to provide him when you whenever he is required. I think this should be very straightforward to all of us, and I want to believe, and I know that the president is concerned about the security of the Southeast. We met with the service chiefs, and everybody expressed concern about the security of the Southeast, and everybody should be interested now in how we bring this to some conclusion. And that's why I made this call. So summary is that letter, someone drew my attention to that, and that letter will be on his desk in a few days' time.
Governor Charles Soludo, thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure having you talk to us on some of these very important issues that you have touched on tonight. Thank you so much indeed. I hope I didn't push more than you expected tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you, Shem. You are my friend, and when you push too hard, I will push you harder even.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.